Good evening to all. So these are the topics from today's newspaper we are going to discuss. So more and better, India needs a good educational infrastructure in all districts. This is from the today's newspaper editorial page. Okay, so this news is talks about recently the Supreme Court strike down the domicile-based reservation. Okay, yesterday the Supreme Court said that reservation in the PG medical admission, you should not follow the domicile based reservation. It is violating the constitutional provisions, and it's also that, which means it violates the article 14 of the constitution. Okay, and before that too, why this news came into picture? Okay, why this news took place, and why these articles talks about the reservation policy which is based on the domicile based one? Because the Chandigarh government, okay, it is Chandigarh government passed the law about the reservation for the 32 seats exclusively for the candidate who are residing in Chandigarh. Okay, I'm repeating once again. The Chandigarh government passed a law which is about the reservation for 32 seats, which is exclusively for the Chandigarh Chandigarh residents. Okay, then the PIL filed against this provision in the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court came into an act saying it is violating, or it is unconstitutional, which is violating Article 14. So it will not be allowed. This is what they can see the first paragraph. The Supreme Court of India ruling that there can be no reservation based on residence. Okay, reservation based on residence in admission to PG medical courses, which is consistent with the constitutional mandate of equality before law. So equality before law is about Article 14. So recall what is Article 14 says, that is the state shall not deny. Okay, that state shall not deny any person. Okay, any person equality before the law or the equal protection of laws within the territory of India. So by analyzing the word, observing the word in the Article 14, we can say that this article is not only for the citizens, it is for the non-citizens also. That is why it says it's any person. Okay, this right is applicable for not only citizens, non-citizens also. That is why it reads like this: the state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or equal protection of law. If you want to say in Tamil, இந்தியாவில் உள்ள எந்த நபருக்கும், so any person, சட்டத்தின் முன்பாக சமத்துவத்தை, that means equality before law, அல்லது or சட்டத்தின் மூலமான சம பாதுகாப்பு, okay, equal protection of law, okay, தர அரசு மறுக்க கூடாது. The state shall not deny. This is what in nutshell I can say. சட்டத்தின் முன் எல்லோரும் சமம், all are equal, and law is for equal to all. This is what Article 14. So based on this article, whatever the decision taken by the state government for the reservation for 32 seats to the PG candidates, okay, PG admission in the medical colleges, that is unconstitutional. Okay, so the state that here two things need to discuss. One is Supreme Court very cleared about the domicile based. India has only one domicile. Okay, India has only one domicile. There is no provincial domicile or state domicile. Okay, there is no provincial domicile or state domicile. India is having only one domicile. That also it takes the support from the constitution. It's the same constitution gives a right to settle anywhere in India. One, and the same constitution gives a right to choose admission education in across India or anywhere in India. Okay, so based on this point or interpretation, the Supreme Court says there is no two different types of domicile. It's only one domicile. Okay, so if it is in the case, then how can we give the reservation which is based on the domicile? One. Another contradictory also there. Not it's a contradictory. So the same Supreme Court to validate the reservation based on domicile to the UG admission. Okay, but it is justified by the same Supreme Court. அதாவது UG admissionக்கு there is no domicile. But for PG admission, you have to follow. Sorry, you should not follow domicile-based reservation. So the reason it says, because it justify the reason for UG why the Supreme Court validate the domicile-based reservation means there are some states which are needed. Local needs will be there. Okay, based on local needs, and then the infrastructure funded by the particular state, the infrastructure or investments by particular state. Okay, then based on the regional backwardness will be there. Regional backwardness must be addressed. So based on these reasons, Supreme Court validated the reservation, domicile-based reservation for the UG admission. But PG admission, it is denied because it's the specialized one. Okay, so that should be based on the merit-based. So already we have the merit-based admission is there. The NEET exam is there for the PG also. Okay, so because of this reason, it is differentiating PG admission and UG admission. Okay, based on the domicile reservation. Okay, these are the point. These are the points which is highlighted here also. Okay, and so candidate from other state can enter PG the same through medical through national quota. Because another one point is Supreme Court validated that PG students form the backbone of medical service in the government hospitals because they are a specialized one. Okay, so because of these various reasons, the Supreme Court says the reservation based on domicile is not validated. Okay. Then next one, it's about the recent tragedy took place in the Mahakumbhak in around 30 people. Here it is. Around 30 people were killed in the Mahakumbh Mela. Okay, in UP. But actually, this author highlighted the tragedy is not only in India, all over the world. It's keep on routine based. It is happening because some of the example she has highlighted a large. Listen, here it is. In 2021, people killed in crowd disaster in the music concert. Then October 22. Then April 23. Then December 24, around 35 people killed. Okay, so these are the worldwide example for the failure of crowd management in the events. And in general, the tragedies such as one have become too common across the world, where religious pilgrim, sport event, and music concert. So these are the common events where this kind of crowd disaster used to be taken place. If it is used to be taken place, then will it be preventable or not preventable? This was the question. So she's explained that it is preventable in a scientific manner. The scientific manner. And if you ask me about any disaster took place in India other than this one, that's also true. Okay, see, in January 2005. In January 2005, around 625 Hindu devotees were killed. Okay, in the Manda Devi temple in Maharashtra. Then again, 2008, the mountain top Naina Devi temple in Himachal Pradesh, around 145 Hindus were died after the rumors of landslide triggered stampede. Okay, then in September 2008, around 250 people were killed. Death Chumangda temple in Rajasthan while celebrating the Navaratri. Then again, 2010, at least 63 people, more than half of them were children, were killed in stampede triggered by massive rush for free food and clothes at a Hindu temple in Uttar Pradesh. And at least again, February 2013, 36 Hindu pilgrims were killed in stampede on the busiest day of Kumbh Mela in Uttar Pradesh 2013. So, which means after 10 years, 12 years, again it happened 2013 and 14 again it happened. Again we may expect that this time it will death toll cross more than 36. Then even 2013, around 115 people were killed and more than 100 injured at Raja Ratnagiri temple in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, while celebrating Navaratri, around 1.5 lakh people were gathered. Then in 2022, 12 people were died, more than injured in the Vaishnavi Devi temple in Kashmir. Then 2024, around 121 people died in Hartas district of Uttar Pradesh, again, the Hindu preacher. Okay, and now January 2025, at least 6 people were killed and 35 injured. Vicious richest temple in Andhra Pradesh. Okay, so majority of the incident took place in the Hindu pilgrims place. Okay, so now, which means now why I am giving this many examples. So why we did not learn from this mistake, and will it be happen in again and again if some more event goes or took place in across India in a religious or non-religious gathering will be there? This is what the question. So for that, to avoid such kind of a crowd disaster, there is a possibility there which could be easily preventable. This is what she is explaining. Okay, so now see in this paragraph, the crowd crushes occurs when the density of the crowd becomes too high. This is very natural. Okay, no need to think, no need to think, or no need to have such kind of extreme knowledge is needed to understand the crowd disaster. It is very simple. If crowd is crushes, means density of the crowd is too high. So what type of density? The scientific studies have already shown a crowd density of 5% per square meter. Okay, if the persons or more than 5 persons are there in per square meter, then there's a chance of crowd injuries. And if it is 7 people per square meter, then there is a death or serious injury. This is scientifically it shows. Okay, so the large crowd developed behind the barrier, compressing its members into dangerous density with tragic consequences. Okay, but the means crowd will push the people or crowd behind them into the dangerous zone where the death will take place. Okay, so now how to avoid? So government or organizing, even the organizers or the local government, local bodies. Okay, these are all. Okay, local government and event organizers and the promoters, they should plan the crowd accordingly. They should keep eye on the crowd. We should not cross or we should not go beyond the scientific line of occurring the tragedy. Okay, so now, so lots of things we can manually, it is not possible. We cannot count the people where how many people are there in per square meter. Instead, we can use the AI technologies. We can map the crowd. We can use the tool to map the crowd, and we can make many outlets, and we can make many ways to move the people freely. Okay, and we can increase the time between the time gap. We can set a time gap for the particular crowd. Okay, then if so many methodology, so many technologically and with these organized way of things are there to avoid such kind of tragedies. Okay, and at the same time, you can read the rest of the points, whatever I have highlighted. Once a crowd reaches a dangerous density, then the crowd can meaningfully influence what is happening around. They cannot understand where to move. Okay, so each step nearly eliminate the risk of crowd crush. They can open more entities and exit. That's what this is what the author says. The method to reduce or mitigate the crowd disaster. Okay, and they can make sure passage ways by crowd free from debris and other obstacles. Okay, and these things. So now the many more events will come in India, like pilgrimage and some religious events used to be happen. So government must be the particular government, but the state government should be very much clear about the crowd disaster. It should not be happened again. Okay, for that, even small amount of planning and minimal chances to venue can almost eliminate the risk that crowd members will be injured, stamped, and squeezed to death. Okay, so these are all the state government should, or state government or organize the event organizers should be keep in their mind before going into the such kind of big event. Okay, if it is like this, then they can avoid. They can avoid, or it the crowd disaster will be preventable. This is what the author highlighting. So worldwide and nationwide already these things are there. So as if you are an administrator of such kind such kind of event took place, then how you are going to act, that you have to be analyzed. Okay, one I can give you one I can give you one task such a way that if you are an administrator or if you are an event organizer, even then you can take the same Mahakumbha Mela. So how you might have considering the past tragedies and how you will plan accordingly. Okay, so that means avoiding the entire unpleasant or the disastrous like situation during the entire event. So for that, how you will be prepared and how you will be execute your plan through your subordinate. This is what you have to be make it a small plan. So it will be help when you are in that power. So yeah, already I have done this one. This is what missed in many events, but my plan or my method will be too effective, which could be implemented by every state or worldwide also. So such kind of thing, such kind of exercise you can done, you can do yourself. Okay, so we will move to the next one. And now this is the recent news, that is the ISRO has launched the 100th satellite. Okay, and this one, that last class already we have discussed about this one, and the last class we discussed why these launching satellites chosen the east coast. Okay, three reason we mentioned. One is that angle, another one is it is free from the disturbances. Okay, you remember, you can refer your previous notes. Okay, there are the three major reasons. Some more reasons are also there. Then on the cyclone on one side, no, the angle in which it is being launched, and the east coast, which is near to the equator. Okay, so these things are some of the reason why they have chosen the eastern coast. This is what last class we discussed, and some of the history also we saw in the journey of ISRO from 1969. Okay, from 1969 to 2025. Okay, the first satellite, the Rohini, was there. The Rohini satellite, they called 75. Okay, 75 means it is the weight. Okay, the size is about 75 millimeter. That is why it's called a RH. It's called a RH. RH is 75. It's the first satellite they launched. When that also I explained, I said in the last class, when mission director was our former president APJ Abdul Kalam. Okay, then some more points. Just now I said no, why they have choosing the east coast. Okay, but and then if it is means, so the rotation is the west to east, best use. So it will, so in this direction we are launching the satellite, which will, so the velocity and the thrust to the rocket, which will be the in favor of the rocket speed, which will reduce the fuel consumption also. That is another one more reason why we are launching in this direction, not in this direction. Okay, another one, the angle. Okay, the azimuth angle, which means the conum, which is in favor, especially in the eastern coast. Because in geography, you might have studied the difference between west coast and the eastern coast. These are indented, highly indented coast, and okay, here the vast area is the sea. So here the disturbance will be very less over the atmosphere. So these are the favorable condition for, that is why they launched in this direction. Okay, and another one, this today's newspaper editorial, the broken promises in the warming world. It talks about the Trump recently he withdrawn US from the Paris Agreement. Through his executive order. So now the article explain about the impact of withdrawal of US over the global warming. This is what the entire article says. Before that, some point about the Paris Agreement already you might have studied, and it was the Paris Agreement. It was adopted by 197 countries, and it is then US also one of the signatory. Okay, as per this, it was adopted 2015, and according to the Paris agreement, all the parties, that means all the 197 parties, should submit the national climate plan for every 5 years. The national climate plan for every 5 years. The national climate plan, which is called as nationally determined contribution. Okay, now NDC, it is called NDC, nationally determined contribution. So every 5 years they have to submit a national climate plan, and in accordingly they have to spend, or they have to invest to reduce the emission. Okay, carbon emission. Okay, and why it is serious matter nowadays means the global climate finance, okay, which is needed to mitigate the climatic action, that is around $1.3 trillion. Okay, $1 trillion is needed to mitigate the climatic action, the disasters due to global warming. Okay, so this is decided during the COP29, which is happened in Baku. Okay, if US withdraw such kind of agreement, then it is very difficult to other countries to accumulate this much of finance. This one. And if US is withdrawing from the Paris Agreement, then another one possible possibility is there. There is a leadership vacuum, because US has to take leading role, because economically and their leadership role across the world. So there is a vacuum. And if you ask me, will it happen first time? No. When Trump was in the first term of his presidential term, that time also he was trying to take away the US from the Paris Agreement. Okay, and another one we have to concern at the current situation. The global temperature has rose around more than 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial level first time in 2024. So which will lead to a catastrophe, or it leads to more climatic vulnerability across the global. This is another one. And the pre-industrial era means it's the before industrial revolution, around 1750 that year time. Okay, so before the agreement says that you have to reduce the emission before the pre-industrial era. Okay, so those times the peoples were doing agriculture and they were doing all the work manually. Okay, after industrial revolution, machines came into part. Okay, so these are the general things about the Paris Agreement and the current Paris the current climatic situation and current global temperature and current financial is needed this much. Okay, so based on this idea, what will happen and what has to be done by the president, US president, or US role on climatic change. This is what the author is explaining the situation. Okay, so some of the point is highlighted. The US is a one of the US, the world richest nation that we know, the richest nation, and it having the 1/3 of the entire wealth, and it's the highest annual gross domestic product, and singularly it is responsible for the global warming, another one. Okay, and United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. Okay, in this organization where US is a signatory. Okay, so though it is a signatory country, it has to supposed to take the lead in climatic action. Okay, in climatic action in what way? While providing the financial and technological means to whom? To the developing countries and underdeveloped countries. Okay, but US denying this. Why should I financially and technologically help to the developing nation and underdeveloped nation? This is what the question from the Trump side. Okay, and then directly come here, the US around during when Joe Biden was the president, he took he was targeting a quality target, means very minimum goal, the least goal we can around $300 billion. They are financing to the climate action. Okay, and COP conference of parties took place 29 at Baku. Okay, and again Joe Biden, the former president, okay, he decided to submit the contributed and promised to reduce the emission by only 60% below the 2005 level by 2015. So these targets are very, very low. This is what US already playing. So if it is means, such means, yeah, instead of giving too little, we can do not give anything. That's what Trump has taken the decision. Okay, and globally, how it will affect, that already I said. There are two things will happen. One is collecting this much huge amount to finance the climate mitigate plan. That is difficult without US contribution. Another one is the leadership vacuum will be there. These are the major. Okay, and again, a logical point is discussed by them. The rich countries' governments need to do is to provide signals to the private sector that will release the power of global capital, who will then innovate and invest to achieve the commitment to emission reduction. This is a good idea. Even if the government is not doing, if the government is not spending amount for the climatic action, or or aiding amount, or aiding to the underdeveloped developing countries, instead of doing this one, you can promote, or you can you can promote the private sector, okay, to finance, to innovate new idea, to invest into the climate reduction, emission reduction action. Okay, this is what one idea, good idea they are giving. So same idea they can follow other nations also, wherever developing countries are there. Instead of rely on one particular developed countries to get the money for the climate mitigation effect, they can promote, or they can insist their private players to act in climate global warming reduction related project. Okay, this is what. So developed and developing countries commitment fundamentally differ in the relative larger role that the public sector plays in the later economies. So instead of rely on private sector, public sector, you can encourage the private sector to investment. Okay, this is what the entire article talks about. Even one of the law school paper published in 2024 says the number of states moving into anti-regulatory or emission inaction policies are best marginal policies much larger than those of active emissions reduction strategies. Even generally they are going for against the climate action. This is what the paper shows. Okay, and here it may recall that the detail of the implementation of the Paris Agreement were finalized during the first Trump. This is talks about when he was in first Trump, because at that time he could not able to withdraw as per the Paris Agreement. But now it is easy to withdraw from the Paris Agreement and through this executive order. Okay, and coming to the last, in the ultimate analysis, global climate action that is just equitable and effective requires political will. That is true. So political will means it's the political will of the particular country, and geopolitics also plays a major role. If you talk about geopolitics, politics, if US is withdrawing, then automatically and the other major countries, developed countries like Russia and China, also they will consider their role in the climatic action, financing climatic action. So this is what the points highlighted here. The future of climate action and the safety of humanity requires concerted political action by all other nations to bring US back. Okay, so instead of moving away from the moral responsibility or global responsibility, they have to collective effort to bring the US back and to take the leading role. This is what the conclusion given by them. Okay, so these are the important article from the yesterday and today's newspaper. So once again, go through it. Okay, so any doubt, any things if you are raised, then just send text message to my WhatsApp number. Okay, so we will leave now. Thank you.